My guest in this episode of Suds Search is Jim Ziegler, owner of the Ziegler SuperSystems and a legend in the automotive industry. For over 44 years, Jim has contributed his talents as a writer, magazine columnist, professional speaker, and turnaround artist at some of the biggest auto dealerships in the United States. Jim has spent a lifetime learning everything about the auto dealer business. He's done business with more than 15,000 dealerships nationwide, and more than 100,000 dealers, managers, and factory executives have attended Jim's popular automobile dealer management seminars. Traveling more than 200 days a year, the man has physically worked in more than 1,000 showrooms in no less than 200 cities in 49 states. Still hasn't made it to Alaska. He's the host of the popular virtual training series Alpha Dawg On Demand. At the time this episode is airing, he has created over 160 training videos to assist retail automotive dealerships with everything from running their operations, marketing their dealerships, training their sales staff, and managing their finances. Jim started his consulting business in 1986. Over the course of his career, the web has fundamentally changed the way that dealers have had to approach every facet of their business. Jim has masterfully evolved with the changes to the industry. He is a host of one of the most important conferences in automotive, Internet Battle Plan. He is a frequent keynote speaker at major conferences like NADA, Digital Dealer, and JD Power Roundtable. Perhaps what fascinated me most was the massive social media following he has attracted. Wait until you hear about his super exclusive, super impactful Facebook group only for dealers. Join me for a conversation with the Alpha Dawg, Jim Ziegler. We're going to talk about how the industry has changed and how it hasn't over time. I'll ask him what keeps him excited about working with auto dealerships after all these years, and I'll talk to him about what happens when Jim Ziegler goes to the dealership to buy a new car. All right. Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg. Welcome to Suds Search. How are you doing today?
Best day of my entire life.
I love to hear it. So I understand you just celebrated an anniversary. Happy anniversary, sir.
Yeah, 36 years. Nobody thought it would last that long.
Well, God bless. Yeah, that's a long way. I'm at 8, and my wife, I think, feels like it's been 36 to her. So I get it. Well, one of the things I want to start with, you've been in the automotive business for over 40 years. You've been doing this nonstop. Unless you're the best actor I know, you seem to still get really excited about it. What about this industry still excites you all these years later?
You know, it's amazing. I'm a high school graduate from the bad side of town with poor parents. I got that story about how I drove to Atlanta in 1982 with my mattresses tied to the roof of a car I was making weekly payments on because my credit was so bad. And within 5 years, I was a millionaire.
Isn't that amazing?
What the heck? I had been a radio executive. I mean, I was one of the most well-known disc jockeys in the country at one time.
Sounds right.
Yeah. And here I was selling cars. And, I just wanted to do this so I could get a decent job. Maybe my relatives wouldn't find out I'd stoop that low. And I needed a free car, and they had demos in those days. So, then the third month in the industry, I made $4,500. No, we're talking 1976, Mark.
Yeah, $1976. That's a nice month, man.
I never made that much money as a radio executive. I'm going, whoa, incredible. And then I made a decision that I was not only going to stay in that industry, but I was going to study that industry as surely as if I were studying for a master's degree in any other profession.
Yeah.
I made that decision. I will be the ultimate success that I'm capable of being. Yeah. Like I say, I'm a high school graduate from the bad side of town.
Yeah.
My business card says James A. Ziegler, HSG. People say, what? It's high school graduate. It's on my business cards.
Oh, I love it.
You want to put PhD on yours? I'll put HSG on mine.
I dig it. Yeah, right. I love it. Well, I think one of the things that happens a lot is we talk about what's changed, and it's kind of obvious in terms of selling cars, some of the ways that it's changed. There probably was no SEO when you got started. There was no,
there was a flat file Rolodex and a telephone and a 10-key calculator.
Yeah, no websites, no search gurus. I'm curious though, what hasn't changed? What's still the same since the very?
Let's go back to what's changed. Let's go back to what's changed. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I don't mind telling people my age. I was in my late 20s when I got into car business. Mm-hmm. And I have seen so many changes and so many paradigm shifts, and I have shifted with all of them. Mm. I've stayed at like the surfers on the head of the wave, and here I am teaching internet and teaching social marketing to young people, and I'm doing big conferences, and people are going, "How could he do that?" So yeah, what's changed? What hasn't changed is people. If you suck in person, you will suck online.
Yeah.
And if you got to have a personality, you've got to have empathy. If I didn't love my customers, I couldn't sell my customers.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Profit is okay. We're not going to make an exorbitant amount of profit, but every business in the world makes a profit. I mean, that's what we've got to keep the lights on.
Right.
So yeah, it's what hasn't changed is the people end of the business, the finesse and the persuasion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I hear your bells ringing in the background.
I'm sorry. I think
ring doorbell.
There's got to be. I think there's a forklift. I've got these noise canceling headphones, so I think I'll mute my mic when I'm not on. I apologize about that. But yeah, I think the other thing that I love this about my job is that I get to learn a lot about different industries. So I got to learn about being an attorney, for example, early in my career. Once we hired Greg, I really needed to level up in how much I knew about car dealerships. I needed to know the lingo. I needed to know how they talked, what it smelled like in there, what made them tick. I wish I would have known about Alpha Dawg On Demand when I first hired him, because I would have gotten a lot more knowledge. Tell our audience about Alpha Dawg On Demand and how, if they really want to know the auto business, this is the place to go. AlphaDawgOnDemand.com. It's a platform that I put on Vimeo, and frankly, we're building our own platform right now. We transfer it to, because the bandwidth it's just incredible how much content I've got there. It's all about how to be a salesperson, how to be a manager, how to be a finance manager, how to be a dealer principal. And the reason I'm able to do that is I've held those positions. I never was a dealer principal, but I've held all the top management positions in car dealerships. I went from salesman to general sales manager, finance manager. I've held all the positions. So, and we've monetized it, which, so many people are good at internet marketing, but they don't monetize well. If you got to make a living, and it's what I call mailbox money. So yeah, Alpha Dawg On Demand. If you're in the sales business in general, you don't have to be in the car business, because I try to teach persuasion and finesse. You don't beat somebody into submission. You persuade. You finesse. You've got to have colorful language. You see the Alpha Dawg hat, and you see the gold chains, and I'm wearing 100,000 on my left hand. I love it. Yeah.
This is the Alpha Dawg's a cartoon I created. Mm-hmm. Jim Ziegler is somebody else. Jim Ziegler's a thinking businessman.
Yeah.
But the Alpha Dawg is just this cartoon character that I created with a hat and the jewels and the swagger. And
was there anybody else doing this when you got started? Was there somebody who inspired you?
That is so cool. Nobody. Yeah. When I left the car business in 1986.
Yeah.
I had been in the business 10 years, and I kept outdistancing my pay plans. I made $200,000 in 86, which was a lot of money then.
Hell yeah, yeah.
And I was a top manager, and every time I arrived at that pinnacle, the dealer principal or the owner or the general manager would say, "Jim, this pay plan was never designed to pay that much." And they'd start cutting back my pay plan. And so finally, the last time it happened, I said, "Would you be polite enough to have one of your people take me home?" And I went into the wife and I said, "Wife, I quit the car business today." She said, "You did what?" Now, I got to tell you, Mark, we made a lot of money, but we didn't have a lot of money. We were trying to have a child, and we were having difficulty with that. And the in vitro fertilizations and things we were trying were like $7,000 a shot. I mean, so we had gone through we had some money, but we didn't have as much money as I'd made. So she said, what are we going to do? I said, I'm going to start a consulting company.
Wow. What year is this? What year?
1986.
1986, you're going to start a consulting company.
And she said, who else is doing this? I said, nobody. I'm inventing an industry. Oh boy. And now I created a huge industry. I've got more competitors, and many of them doing much better than I did.
Well, there's no doubt. Just the foresight in 1986 to have this. You really were way ahead of the game. I mean, way ahead of the game. So.
Mark, I had stacks of legal pads where I had written down notes and business models and how I was going to do it. And it's kind of funny. I hadn't told this story before recently. I went into a recording studio where all the Baptist ministers made their church tapes.
Interesting. And
I made like a 40-minute video. Take that audio cassette tape. I made a cassette tape, and it said, I can improve the profits of your dealership by $100,000 a month immediately. And I mailed it to every car dealer in Georgia.
Wow.
And there was nothing on the label that said who sent it. No return address, just I can improve the profits of your dealership $100,000 a month immediately. They had to listen to the tape to find out who I was.
Wow.
And I started getting calls. And the first dealer said, well, how much do you charge? I said, well, he said, my brother died. My brother's a car man. I'm an accountant. I don't know how to run this dealership. I said, well, how much do you charge? And I hadn't thought that through. I said, well, $8,500 a month. He said, I got a problem with $8,500 a month. Now remember, this is 1986. I said, I charge $8,500 a month. He said, well, $8,500 a month. I got a problem with that. And I thought, here it comes. He said, I'll pay you $4,250 on the 1st and $4,250 on the 15th. I said, now you realize I got to have an office in the building.
Yeah.
And a dedicated phone line that your receptionist answers Ziegler SuperSystems.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Now I've got an office.
Wow. The persuasion and finesse there. I like it very much. I
got to have an office in the building. So, and a phone line that your receptionist answers Ziegler SuperSystems. And then I picked up my second and third client.
Yeah.
And we made $1 million the first year.
God bless. Yeah.
I went to Ford Motor Company and got a contract with Ford. I had heard that Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition had made a deal with Ford to have 300 minority-owned dealers online.
Okay. And
they didn't have a clue how to put that program together, find qualified applicants. And I said, I can help you with this. I was on all the Ford Motor Company training videos. I was the finance school for Ford Parts and Service Division. Plus, I was consulting a minority dealers program. I had 40 employees by 1987.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
half a floor of a major Class A building.
Unbelievable. So how long before you started? So you have, for people who are watching who don't know this, you have one of the most important conferences in automotive. I mean, the Internet Battle Plan is the one. I remember when Greg signed out, he's like, doesn't matter. We're going to that one. We're going to sign clients. It's really serious people there. It's no joke.
If COVID ever ends, but the last one we did was October a year ago.
Okay. How long before in your consulting journey, how long before you started to do the conferences? And
we started doing seminars right away.
Okay.
It wasn't conferences then. It was seminars. I did a finance manager seminar and a sales manager seminar. Because everybody else was doing sales seminars. Mm-hmm. And I was the only one that had really been a successful manager. So I started doing management training, which was an open field.
Right.
So here I'm doing all this management training. And the first finance seminar I did was at the Sheraton Hotel here in Atlanta. I had 17 attendees. and I was charging $500 a person. Only 3 of them paid.
Is that
The rest
right?
of them were friends of mine that I packed the crowd with to make the other 3 feel it had good value.
Yeah, that's smart. You're clever. Yeah,
I needed the photos.
Right.
I needed the hard third party proof. I needed to have my wife was taking photos of this crowd of 17 people. So my next promotional piece that went out in the mail, and no email. The next promotional piece that went out, I had pictures of me in front of a bigger audience.
Oh my God, that's great.
it was all, it was wonderful. We crashed in 2008, when everybody else crashed. I laid off the employees, shut down the offices, and it was kind of amazing because we made millions of dollars gross revenues. But in 2008, I lost $1 million in real money, writing checks back to the company as the economy crashed. And I laid off the people. I shut down the offices and brought it home.
Yeah.
And if we got some entrepreneurs watching this broadcast, I made 100 phone calls a day, starting in December of 2008, when my last employee left.
Wow.
My wife and I were in London on October 15th when the economy crashed in the U.S. We were in London. We were buying the U.S. franchise for Academy, which was the British version of Facebook.
Oh my gosh.
I had just stroked a major check to buy Academy for the U.S. rights. I forfeited it, gave it back to him. I had to go back and save my other business.
Oh my gosh. And it was just, so you're in London working out a huge deal. Meanwhile, Lehman Brothers is everything's crashing, all the headlines, and you have to forego that opportunity, come back, and now you're making 100 phone calls a day.
Okay, here it is, December. I'm on the phone. I'm going through the database. I'm making 100 phone calls a day. I'm 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm speaking. We live in Georgia. I'm making phone calls to dealers on the East Coast. 8 o'clock at night, I'm speaking to dealers in Hawaii. I'm calling right across the time zones. And we had a $40,000 net by February.
Okay.
I mean, we went from negative income to $40,000 a month rate of travel.
That'll
with
work.
no employees except the one computer programmer I kept to do my websites.
That's amazing. And so that things didn't get better. The economy kept being pretty bad, as I recall.
It was pretty bad. And we had the Cash for Clunkers program where dealers started to sell some cars. And it's amazing. My message was you can grow or die, but you can't stay where you're at.
Oh, I love it. Well,
grow or die.
Well, now you've got so many different things. So Greg tells me about this Facebook group that you have. People like me who are pushy, and I'm going to try and get my services out there, are not allowed in this group.
Nope, I don't allow. We don't allow vendors in the group. We have some vendors in the group that are grandfathered in.
I see.
They were members before we changed the rules.
What I'm always interested in.
That group doesn't exist, by the way. It's an urban myth.
Sorry, yeah. But what I'm always interested in are people in internet marketing or otherwise who can build a real community where there's real trust and real value going back and forth. How'd you do it?
Okay, well, we call it the Alpha Dawg Tribe.
Okay.
And I'll share with your viewers, it's not really a myth. It really does exist. There's about 15,000 members, and they're all in the automobile industry. And it's my group. I'm the only one that's allowed to advertise in there. And we say it's an urban myth. There is no Alpha Dawg Tribe. I mean, it's a secret group. Facebook allows you to have secret groups, that you can't find if you Google them up. You can't search, and you can't search in Facebook. You can't find it. You're only a member by invitation, and we boot people out almost daily. The rules are strict. You you don't ever attack another person. You don't use any off-color language at all. Language is out of control. I might use some language in my personal life that I would never put in print. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
If you don't attack other people. This is not a launching place for your new consultant career. Jim Ziegler is already the consultant for the group. We have a whole set of strict rules. And it's an information sharing network. We get a post in my network and there'll be 100 replies.
Amazing.
Because people are engaged in it. It's not just a group they belong to. And, like in the Bible, Jesus went looking for the lost sheep. If you leave my group, I will go looking for you. And I'll look at the stats. Who hasn't interacted lately?
Yeah.
I'll bring you back.
I love it. And it's interesting. You learn, I think there's a lesson here, which is you made it more exclusive. And I would say because it's exclusive, you got better engagement. You got better value for the people in it. Is that fair to say?
Quality people, quality information, quality environment. That's the, and if you're not a quality person, I will boot your ass right through the field goals.
So I remember I said, Greg, I'd like to be on that group. And he said, you'll never get on there.
I can't let you.
No, I'm not even pushing. I love that story though about building a community. I think that's what it's about. And in any kind of marketing, it's really hard to do, and you've done it. And that's impressive.
One thing about it is I deal with the top people. When, I traveled 200 days a year for 30 years, away from my family. I've been in every state except Alaska. I've been in 1,000 dealerships, and I go in and actually work the deals with the people, talk to the customers, and did what they do. High level respect in the training. And because of that, people look at me as an authority. And the other thing I do is I write for the magazines. I'm the foremost read columnist in the industry. I write for Dealer Magazine right now. And I wrote for Auto Age. I wrote for Auto Success. I've written articles continuously for F&I Magazine and Showroom Magazine and Ward's Dealer Business. Yeah. So I've written for 2 and 3 magazines as a staff columnist for years.
Wow.
There's credibility.
No, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. Well, when you're talking to these dealers, not just on Facebook, in your experience, maybe nobody knows what makes these guys tick more. For our audience, what are the real pain points when it comes to digital marketing? What are some of the, 3 or 4 things where they're on a consistent basis not getting it?
Well, what they don't get on digital marketing right now is most dealers many dealers are seniors. I'm a senior. I'm 73 years old, for heaven's sake. I don't mind telling you that. But most dealers don't know where the on switch on their computer is. Mm-hmm. And staffing, and they're getting so many different opinions from so many different vendors. And the vendors' opinions conflict with each other. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of, should I do this? Should I do that? And car dealers get such a bad rap. I'm sure there's some bad dealers out there, but for the most part, dealers are certainly mislabeled, and it's the vendors mislabeling them. I mean, the experience is not the god-awful experience people are describing. There might have been a time, but that time went away a long time ago. Dealers are constantly striving to give a customer a better experience. But then they see commercials on TV, stay away from the clowns at the dealership. And people will start to believe that. And how to do reputation management is one of the strongest things that dealers are missing out on. Customer satisfaction engineering and reputation management.
That makes perfect sense.
Google My Business is the website today. Not the website itself. Google My Business is the showroom.
That's it. They never have to come to your site.
No.
They can do it. They can convert. They can call you. They'll know when it's busy. It's everything you need right there on Google.
Finance was the last thing that the last piece of the puzzle that the innovators couldn't put together. How do we do finance on the internet? We know how to sell cars. We can transact online. But financing has so many variables. You've got all the rebates, you've got all the special rates, you've got so many laws pertaining to finance. How do we stay legally compliant and do finance? Because finance is the most time-consuming part of a car deal.
Yeah.
Not buying the car. You can buy a car in 30 minutes, but I can't get in and out of the finance office in an hour because of the paperwork. Yeah. The government mandated paperwork.
That's right.
We taped the forms in a finance office together back to back to back to back. It was 60 feet. 60 more documents than buying a house.
Yeah, who's enjoying this? This is like crazy. Yeah, I know.
It's the same legislators that are stamping down on dealers because of our customer satisfaction. They're creating all the laws that slow down the process.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really dumbass paperwork that we have to sign.
Oh no, I recently bought a car. I know. Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
I experienced it myself. Well,
What'd you get?
I got a Cadillac Escalade.
I drove 9 of those. I love Cadillac Escalades. I started in 2000 when they first came out with the Escalade. And I think my last one was 2012. And now I've got an Audi Q7. But because I had a
nice car too.
I had 9 Escalades and 7 Corvettes since 2000.
Unbelievable. What is it like you going in to buy a car? Do you probably know the dealer, huh? So it's like
I know the dealer, and it's so funny when I bought the Audi, I leased it. Leasing on a Highline is much a better deal than buying it. People say, "Well, I pay cash for my car." What are you, brain dead? You get a 0% interest rate, a 0.3%. My money is earning 10% in a bad economy, and you're gonna take $80,000 out of production when you could replace it with a 3% loan and earn 10% on it in the meantime. What are you thinking about? Do you have a brain cramp? You bump your head? What? I quit it. Yeah, I'm gonna pay cash. I lease my cars.
Yeah. That's good advice. That's good advice. Yeah.
And the dealers know me. But when I got the Audi Q7, I'd go in one dealership and they were all excited. Jim Ziegler's in the store. I'm sort of a celebrity in my industry. Yeah. Jim Ziegler's in the store. All the managers came out to meet me. And then they tried to negotiate on a regular negotiation sheet with me. I said, guys, this is not how you do business with the Alpha Dawg.
That was what I was hoping would happen. Yeah, I love it.
You missed the point. They tried to work the deal with me, and I'm going, son, that sheet you just put in front of me, I invented that.
Poor guy didn't know. He didn't know, or maybe he wanted to try. I don't know.
Son, I got underwear older than you. Come on. I'm wearing it right now.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Jim, I feel like I could talk to you forever. This has been awesome. I want to make sure you've got so many things going on. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your conferences, Alpha Dawg On Demand, everything that you're doing? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is Google.
Okay.
I come up realistically 4.5 million times in Google. I mean, and that's me. I mean, that's not maybe me. That's 4.5 million times. You put James A. Ziegler or Jim Ziegler between the two of them. And my website is Ziegler, and that's Ziegler, I before E, Ziegler, Ziegler SuperSystems.com.
All right.
And I'm all over Facebook. I've got 20 Facebook pages, 6 or 7 websites. You can't get on the internet and put my name in and not trip over how to find me.
I can attest to it. So, well, man, this has been great. I really enjoyed having you on, and I hopefully we'll get past this COVID stuff, and I'll see you at some point in 2021.
I would love that. And you got a great man in Gifford there. I mean, the guy's got SEO nailed.
No, I was a fan of his before I worked with him. So like I know what I've got. We're talking on, he's been here exactly 1 year. This is his 1 year anniversary at Search Lab the day we're talking. So
super individual. And I would love to be stranded. If I was stranded on a desert island, I'd love to be stranded with Gifford because I could spend all my days like funny papers reading his tats.
That's right. Like you said, you have $100,000 on your left wrist. He's got like 50 on his arm. He's got those tattoos were years in the making, and they're very well done. So, all right. Well, Jim, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll see you guys next time on Suds Search.
Thank you.